Well, good evening. PACA 2. We're ready to jump into it tonight with the jumps. And our guest today is Keith Herston actually, today he's from Texas Tech, but I learned and met him back when he was at Texas State. And that goes back, I think, Keith, when we sat there and analyzed high jumps back in 2010, as I remember, that we'd sit on the bench and
I
make comments back and forth about this, but
believe so.
Keith has been all over the area here as far as a jump coach. Went to Alabama, but then grad assistant at Auburn, Sam Houston, and because he is a country boy, as he says, after Sam Houston and Texas State, decided to figure out Florida, went to Miami and Florida State, but then came back home to Texas Tech. And so now he is at Texas Tech and doing a fantastic job there with his jumpers, all high jump, long jump, and triple jump. So, Keith, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sue.
No problem. We want to hear all about it because your jumpers are already off to a great start from the early meet results here. You've only had two or three meets and already several have qualified, so or at the tops of the list. So that's awesome. How'd you get into coaching or into track and field?
Well, I had a different route, and I wasn't a talented athlete or anything, so I just loved, being around young people, and I loved the sport. So I competed in high school, but I was primarily baseball, baseball player.
Mm.
So once baseball would finish, I would, go to the track, which is right down the street, just a little bit further, and practice a little bit. But finally, senior year, I gave up baseball and then went to track and just had a great time. And then had a scholarship offer from a junior college. Well, the month that we were going to show up to go to start college there at the junior college, this is in Alabama, they cut the program.
Oh,
So terrible time. It's like 3 weeks before, I think. And there's 20, 20 something guys incoming. Oh, they all got turned away and had to find somewhere new to go. And I think most didn't even go run track anywhere, except for just four or five. So the head coach at the junior college is Bevel State Community College, and they gave me a leadership scholarship to start coaching. So they said you can compete if you want, you can train, but we need your help coaching. We still have the women's team, and we need your help coaching. So I started doing that, and after 2 years, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty fun. I think I could do this for a living, maybe. So I trained that summer after my sophomore year. I trained all summer to get in shape, and I went and tried out at Alabama to make the team. Now I was terrible, but Harvey Glance must have had a bleeding heart, and I got to thank him just a couple years before he passed, and he took me on that team for some ungodly reason, and that literally jump started my whole career. So Ralph at Auburn, he hired me literally because I only had SEC experience. I had no experience. I didn't get to go to any competitions. I didn't get to go to the SEC meet. I wasn't good enough. But I had a plan, and it all worked out perfect. And from there, I just kept moving up the ranks. But it never, I never got into it for that. I got in it to help young people and mentor them, and then I just love the sport. Like even if track's on TV, you're going to watch it. Just constantly thinking about track. So I love what I do, and um, I don't know how I made it this far in it, but this just seems like this the this the way it worked, and I just kept following it.
well, we're glad you did, definitely, with that. And the one thing that always impressed me about you initially when I met you was the fact that you were always trying to learn, always pushing
Always, yep.
and trying to, quiz and what is this and why is that? And, the inquisitiveness. Is that a trait of yours just in life?
Uh, Definitely. Like I don't even watch TV for entertainment. I'm constantly trying to learn something. I'm
Uh-huh.
addicted to learning. I tell my wife I'm addicted to learning. So I'm always trying to get better. And I hound coaches. I hound Randy about training. Just yesterday, I was texting him saying, "Hey, can we get a call going?" Always trying to figure out something that I'm seeing, and I just figure that. you know, um, I'm learning a ton through application. Of course, every year I'm learning something different. And but yeah, these mentors that we have, they've been through it already. We don't need to make the same mistake. So I'm always calling them, and I've had some great mentors, and that's really I think the reason for the success that I have is because willing to learn and listen, never being too big for that, and then having some great mentors. So I mean, Jerry Clayton is the main one that got me into coaching. So when I went to Auburn, I worked under Jerry Clayton. So I
Oh.
mean, it started there, and he knew everybody, and he got me connected to everybody, and it just took off from there. And that's what I enjoy. Yeah, I've been doing this full time now for this is year 16, but then part time I did it for I don't know 5 years,
Mhm.
and I would always get stressed about the results and the development, but now I figured out it's the process of this whole thing that makes it fun. So it's
Exactly.
made me chill out a little bit at least.
What do you think the fact that you were not an outstanding athlete, how does that carry over to you being an outstanding coach?
Um, well, I definitely had to learn a lot more when I was competing, and training. And I say that was 20 2005 when I was at Alabama, 2005, 2006. So 20 years now. And I still remember even then the athletes would come to me after they jump. No disrespect to the jumps coach. He's a friend of mine still. But I remember one day it was Christopher Lewis, who was an All-American long jumper, to transfer from Mississippi State. We were walking from practice to the weight room, and he stopped everybody. He said, "Hey guys, listen." And I'm like, what are we about to say here?" He said, "If you have any questions about jumps," he said, "you ask this guy." He said, "He knows what the hell he's talking about." And I'll never forget it. I'm a nobody. I'm a walk-on nobody, and that just blew my mind. So that was kind of one of the defining moments. Okay, maybe I am going to be okay at doing this.
That's good. That's good. That's good. How would you describe your coaching philosophy? Do you have a main theory or thoughts with that?
Yeah, there's a few things. One is individuality. I talk about that in recruiting constantly, but um, um, I'm big on training the individual based on the needs, doing a needs assessment and giving them what they need to improve, but also giving them what they need to make the system fire. So some people like some people do better with full range motion in the weight room, some partial, some this. I mean, you'll see as you go and work with athlete, year over year, you get the things that, you see that they are weak at and things that make them be in, I guess, readiness state, those type of things, to where they're clicking. And I'll use whatever I think, the more reps I do at this, the more I find what works and what doesn't work. But I'm willing to use whatever tool. I'm not Mr. Gadget, but willing to use whatever is necessary to elicit the changes that I'm looking to do. And that's, mainly in the training. And then once we get to comp season, I'm trying to, get have that readiness constantly. So always being prepared and ready for the competition, being sharp, being fresh, late season especially,
Hmm.
and just figuring out what it takes for some people. Some people, like peaking. We message about peaking a little bit. Even that's different from really nervous system type to nervous system type. So I change stuff based on what I see with that. So that's the biggest thing is individuality. And then the next thing, so my background is in exercise physiology. I did a master's in ex-phys at Auburn. Really good, great program, top notch. Learned a lot there. So everything has to make sense scientifically in what I'm doing. I may have a hunch, but the science always catches up at some point. But most of the stuff that I'm having hunches on has already happened, or Randy or somebody's going to have done it before and they understand it. So I'm going to pick their brain and see if they've came across that. And it's got to make sense scientifically for me in my mind. And then um, I think something that Coach Clayton, Jerry Clayton, taught me under him was movement quality. So I'm always looking at movement quality, and say we're trying to change, something in the jump. Well, we will put in a drill that elicits the response I'm trying to get, the change I'm trying to get, and we will literally live on that ad nauseum. They get sick of it, but we want to make sure that that change has happened, and I'm making sure that their body is accustomed to that movement. And if we do it long enough, then then the system is going to accept it, and it will become the everyday normal jump at some point.
Hmm.
But
Right.
sometimes what I found is when you pull it, say late season, you're like, I'm going to pull this. Well, then they don't, then they lose it. So sometimes it's like Jerry would always keep the same drills in, and he would live in it, never changing them. Like what are we doing? Like it's the same thing we did, 5 months ago. What are we doing? But it always worked, and that's what he was doing. It was the nervous system. It was having that pattern constantly to
Hmm.
give it that feedback to where when we get to the meet, it's gonna still move in that way. Not what you want to do, not what you're used to doing. We're trying to change it and keep that. So that's what we're trying to do. Make the change and then keep it to where that doesn't leave,
Hmm.
the system,
Right,
essentially.
right. So science is a big part, it sounds like, of your background and just your overall coaching philosophy. So that's good, definitely. Where does
Yeah, no doubt.
psychology fit in then?
Say that again.
Where does psychology fit in with your
Well,
coaching?
I'm figuring out that that's a huge part of it. I had no training in that, but you kind of have to, especially with today's kids, you've got to do that. I mean, Sue could tell you a lot about me. I'm highly blunt, uh, and I will force what I need to get done because uh, um, the commonalities, and the good jumpers, I've seen what they are. I know what they are, and I will push to get those same you to do those same things, those same common mechanical movements, and I will not back down from it. I believe in what I do, and I stand my ground with those athletes.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's got to be some kind of psychology to it, to where you make them believe in what you're doing, and you make them believe in themselves. And I've said it over many years that I'm a confidence coach, not confidence in everyday life, but it ends up going to that. So if you get good at something, like we're good at athletics, maybe nobody knows who we are, but we love athletics. We're great coaches. Us on this call, we're great coaches, and that gives us a confidence in what we're doing. It gives us it, it just some of us is our purpose. It gives us our purpose to get going every day and doing something special, or trying to do something special, or elicit change in those people's lives. That gives us our calling. And these people are looking for their purpose at this age, 18 and 22. When they find that they're good at something, and they're passionate about something, well, that gives them purpose and confidence.
Hmm.
So I feel like I'm a confidence coach because I'm trying to build them up in this area so it spills over into all the areas. So I'm definitely boosting them up, but yeah, it's a push and pull thing with these kids nowadays, no doubt.
What
And
do you find is the biggest difference with kids today and 10 years ago, let's say?
yeah, I know as far as workload, my workload has went down over 10 years.
Hmm.
I would say at least 25 or around 25%. And I've been thinking about that lately. Uh, as a matter of fact, so I think the workload has went down a bit. Um, they definitely push back more than they did,
Hmm.
which I don't do anything without I don't do anything without a purpose, so I don't want to waste their time. I don't want to waste my time. And I don't want to just, you know, get them hurt, get them banged up from doing too much.
Sure.
So, so they want to know why they're doing what they're doing. They push back a lot. And I can tell them, hey, this is exactly why we're doing this. And they believe in me.
Hmm.
I think I think I think Susan would tell you that as much as
Right.
anybody I've ever coached. They
Yeah.
believe in what I'm doing. And I've got to know those things, in order to give them the confidence in me. So that's a lot of it. But also, there's a lot of people that are just purposeless, like visionless. So you got to try to motivate them and give them something.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's recently since COVID, it's changed the most. Not
Now,
that I'm not that I'm an older coach. I'm 41, but I've been in it for a while.
right, right. Well, I just found out that you're working with Tyra Giddens. And
Yeah, I've been writing her training, and she comes up sometimes, but this year it's been less than last year. But yeah,
so what was she got what a 680 jump off last week
she opened up at 683 from
from
she
whatever
was
she's been
I
doing.
wasn't
Yeah.
there, so she was kind of moving her approach around, and I got onto her about that. But she jumped 670 from short approach, and I was like, "What are we doing?" Now I'm in the so in during the competition, I said, "You are not doing short approach." I said, "You're going to full approach for the finals. This is we play to win. We're not here to do like you got like two or three competitions and your indoors over. We're playing to win." So she moved back, first jump 683, and it wasn't by no means what she's capable of, but at least she got. I mean, she's going to qualify for Worlds with that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What have you found? Because she's gone through a lot of ups and downs. I mean, has there been a special strategy that you used without getting into her personal stuff, but I mean a general strategy that you found effective for her?
Well, I know weight room. I figured out what has worked to get her nervous system ready to go. Um, that's one thing that's definitely happened. So readiness for her is, I mean,
Hmm.
I get her ready quickly.
Yeah.
It's more mental with her, and she's done a great job because she's there at Texas State. So her and her husband Donnie, I
Yeah.
mean, they work together more than I get to be with her. But the biggest thing is with her is um, she has to she wants to be great,
Hmm.
um, but she's apprehensive on some things. And the biggest thing is in college, she was so good that they would kind of back off of her. And I'm just
Oh,
pushing. I just keep pushing. We got to attack. We've got to do more. We've got to be better. Because in the end, if you don't make money in this thing, your time of training is going to come to an end pretty quick. So,
right, right.
so I don't play. Yeah, we don't play to be mediocre. We're pushing to win, and she's got a lot of things to figure out, but she is very talented.
She is.
I would say physically, she's the most talented athlete I've ever worked with, girls
Oh,
wise.
wow. Yeah, no, I've enjoyed watching her over the years from age group actually. Uh Age group to A&M to Texas and then now, being in Austin there with her. So I'm glad that she's got the stability with you. So that's great. You had mentioned commonalities between the different jumps. What expand on that a bit?
Well, it's just looking at like people that have jumped far. What are they doing? What are they doing correctly? You know, so like triple jump, or I would say triple jump. Um, like today we did rhythm bounds. So we'll have two type of days where we bound for distance, where we're trying to, we're trying to jump as far as we can, short approach triple, whatever it might be, drills. But then we have days where we slow it down and we're trying to be in the air. The way I see it is there's three ways to go far. And we're talking strictly triple jump here, but for every event, they've got their commonalities. And the three things that I see that make triple jump happen. One is speed in. Two is speed out. So how fast, how much speed that you're carrying through your phases. And two, how long you're in the air. Because if I'm on the ground quick, I didn't go very far. So we're constantly training those three things all the time. So I got to figure out um, what those things are in each event. What things matter. So then, say for instance, high jump, it matters to be fast, but you don't have to be as fast as long a triple because you got to turn that velocity vertical, and then you can only do so much.
Hmm.
So we trained it a little differently. We don't do speed as often. Things like that, or go as far. So I'm just looking at commonalities as far as like physical, and then as far as technical goes. I mean, there's certain things with posture, active contacts in triple. You see anybody that jumps far in triple, they got active contacts on the ground. There's just no bones about it. You've got to move the foot or try to move the foot as fast backwards as you're moving forwards. So I tell the athletes all the time, you're not beating physics. You've got
Right.
to work with it. You've got to work with it. So we're constantly working those things. Like today, like I said, we did rhythm jumps, rhythm bounds. Sue's had to sit out. She's got the shin stuff.
Hmm.
Everybody else, she sat and watched. Everybody did the rhythm bound. So we just get 2 to 4 steps, and we're working on how high you can go. So essentially, I'm trying to break the timing that you think that you're supposed to be on the ground. I want just a little bit longer. But I call those posture bounds. So really, you're jumping with posture the whole time. And we mainly jump like that in the fall. Any short approach jump that we do in the fall is going to be like that.
Hmm.
We're going for vertical.
You're going for vertical for the triple jump.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. And long jump, I'll do that more so in the beginning too. And then then it bleeds to, all right, we're going to do a few jumps for vertical, and then we're going to move and trying to move horizontal. So once I see that we're trying to go horizontal, our posture gets out of position.
Right.
So I'm going back and touching on that posture constantly because posture is one of the key commonalities. So we're going back and touching on that constantly all the time, and we never leave it unless getting competition. It's just to me at the end of the season. I'm jumping around a lot here, but
No, no,
this
that's
is the way my
fine.
brain this is the way my brain works. Um, this is the way I talk to athletes all the time. They're like, "Where are we going, coach?" But I see training at the end of the year. Like the stereo boxes. It has treble and bass and has those lights. To me, it's like you're constantly bumping up what is necessary. So say if it's posture, all right, we're getting bent over, we got to bump that up.
Hmm.
If it's speed of movement, we got to go run some speed or whatever it is, power, strength. I'm constantly bumping those things up. I'm trying to bring them all up as much as possible in the training. And then once we get to the end of the season, I'm going into maintenance mode and I'm bumping those things up. It's like juggling, but I'm it's just like the stereo. I'm trying to bump up what is down. So we're in season now, so it's hard to fit 2 jump days, but we're going to do it this week as the last time probably. So we did posture today, and we'll jump for real on Friday.
Hmm.
We're just
Now,
bumping those things back up.
when you're talking to keep bumping it up and yet you're still working the individual. So
All right.
if person X has to do one thing and person Y needs something else, how do you balance that within a training session?
That's where it gets crazy. That's why I'm getting gray hair. So um, I'm hell bent on the individuality, but these days is easier on the posture bound day. It's easier. But then when we're going to like jumps for distance, well then, all right, let's stick to the same one so we can kind of have a competition.
Mm.
That's part of the psychology of it. We want to compete and practice to get us, mentally ready for that. But but as far as individuality, most of it comes from the weight room.
Oh, okay.
So let's say one person's doing cleans from the floor, another one's doing hang clean, like Tyra, she loves cleans from the block at the knee, So really what they're best at is what I lean to in late season.
Oh,
And if
okay.
they're good at it, they like it.
Yeah.
Kind
Yeah.
of, if you think about it, everybody I like that drill. Well, they're good at it. That's why you like it, But I tend to move towards that late season. And where was I going? Um, but like
You're-
posture bounds, all right, somebody needs more active contacts. We're just working on just posture and active contact. So sweeping of the shin of the foot. It may just be all alternates. So we may do 4 alternates, 5 alternates. And
Mhm.
then somebody that has a lot of trouble with the hop, it may be um, all hops, 4 hops or 5 hops, or it could be double double. So right, right, left, left.
Mhm.
So it's easy to do when you're not trying not to go far.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can change things up, but when you're trying to go far, it's better just to create the competitive environment and let it rip,
How
you know.
long or how many times in a week, let's say, do you do competitive jumping? Is that like a every week thing? Not counting meets, obviously, but practice.
Yeah, we usually just do it once if it's looking at like short approach jumps.
Hmm.
Now we do short approach jumps, say for long jump. We do short approach jumps where you're trying not to go far. You're working on, jumps with a vest on or something you had with Randy on there. You're trying to cut low on the penultimate. You're just working on little things. You're going slow.
Hmm.
Um, but then, like other things, like on the Excel day, we do standing long, standing triple, just to get going, and they'll always compete at that. You
Oh,
know,
yeah. Yeah.
just fun stuff. Competing is fun. That's why we got into it. So
Yeah.
I'll technique them to death if I get in the way. So sometimes I just have to let them, you
Right,
know, just let
right.
them go have fun.
There you go. David, you've got a question for him. I can't hear you, or you're unmuted, but I can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Keith.
What's up,
Um,
bro?
my question for you is: so it sounds like you do a lot of drills. Sometimes do you feel like so with timing of things? How much? My question is, I guess like sometimes athletes can do things really well in drills, but they can't do it when you add velocity, right?
Yeah.
How much time do you spend on the drill, and how much time do you spend on adding the velocity back in order to see if like the whole is improved, not just the part? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm doing all of it all the time. If I'm doing a drill, so say you're saying a drill is something outside of the competition. So say triple jump, hop, step, jump. You're saying something outside of that.
Right,
I'm
right.
trying to put in a drill to make them feel what I want them to feel. I'm trying to put in something that's going to elicit that change, and I'm hoping that's going to transfer to the faster day over time. And I'll train. I'll push the speed of movement on that day. So to me, it's easier when you say bounding, just general bounding. You're going 10 contacts for distance. Um, it's almost like you're a sprints coach. It's almost like speed endurance. You get the nervous system effect of it. Of okay, say you're running instead of a 50-meter sprint, you say, all right, I want you to go run a 150 all out. So it gives them time to feel their body. Say, okay, I feel like my hips are out of position. Let me try to get that back in. They have time to think and feel and get the nervous system or feel what their nervous system is doing or their mechanically what they're doing. To me, bounding is like that. So you're bounding for distance. They say, okay, I feel that. And okay, let me repeat that. Well, then we do that in the drills. It's at a slower speed and it's less reps. You don't have time, to change those things. But if you keep those in over time, bounding and short approach jump, over time, those things are going to transfer over. It just takes time. And that's why I said, once you find the drill that you need, you live on the drill. It's so hard. Physical development is so much easier than the technical. It takes time. Once you find what the need is, you implement it and you live on that constantly. So it will transfer at some point. It will transfer at some point if they're any good. If they got any kind of coordination at all. It's going to take time more for those people, but they will get it. That's the way I see it. There's only so much we can do. Some people are totally uncoordinated. I've got a couple. I've had a lot over the years, but those people more so, I don't change stuff. I keep things constant all the time.
And with you kind of touched on a little bit with recovery, but how do you pre-program in recovery as it's related to not only training sessions but also like your competition plan to make sure, like say you have a dual jumper that's triple and long, to kind of keep them fresh throughout the season?
Yeah, I mean, I have an idea, but I will write training, and that means nothing. Really, really, I'm cutting stuff here and there, and oh, you're struggling today, or that's why I like everybody to have a whoop or a aura ring, something, and that would kind of help me. And there's a few that do that. I know Monet, the pro jumper, she's got that hit and miss, but she's got it. Those things help, and we don't have a lot of the tools that I would like to have. So I just write it, and then when they're warming up, I'm judging, and I will totally change a workout on the fly and pull what I need. And the good thing about being at Texas Tech is we have a lot of home meets. If you don't want to do it, you just cut it. You know, the ones traveling, they're tougher. So I base everything around, of course, the championships and then the travel competitions. And then outside of that, we don't really have to do anything. So yeah, we'll cut and rest. And I've got certain things that I don't want to compete the week before a championship. I want to, I don't want to. I never want to do that because I don't want to risk getting hurt. There's different things that here and there that I've got. How many days of rest over the last couple weeks of training going into the major competition. How much am I going to get? Those matter, but you know, early season it doesn't matter as much. We're going to get a little fatigued, going to travel a little bit more, those things, and I get them tired a little bit too much sometimes because I don't want to miss training. But once it gets late season, it's like the hay is in the barn. You've done everything and just let them rip at the meet, and there's not much we can do at the practice.
Awesome.
Is that answer? Do you have anything else? Another question?
Uh, I'll leave them alone for now.
You hit me up anytime, bro.
What would you say is your favorite drill? Do you have one that you like for, let's say, high jump, long jump, and triple jump, three different drills? Or
Yeah, I would say since we've been talking about triple, I'll start there. The one for triple, and I got this kind of from the Greek system. Pomaski over there. Um, he's the one that coaches Tintaglu. Him and yeah, there's some other Greeks that are close friends. Um, Four alternate bounds. So instead of five, we go four. So four would put you on your last phase leg into the pit. But we are trying to push the speed on that. And it is a direct correlation to how far they're going to jump in triple jump. So I'll tell them t- t- all right, so we already know alternates are the easiest. Hop is is the difficult part of triple jump. If you can master the hop, you got a good shot to jump far. The alternates just make it to where it's simple. You're just bounding. So you just tell them, all right, how do we go far in triple jump? We know that's speed in, speed out, and rhythm. That's what I want you to work on for triple or for four alternates. Go as far as you possibly can. And the biggest thing is it works on speed of contact. You've got to have posture. You're going to absolutely eat it on that first one.
mhm.
And that gets a lot of them. Two or three is the rhythm of it. So you got to have rhythm to go far. But it's alternate, so it's easy to think about. It's harder in the hop. So we like to do that drill before we do triple. I will do it, say 3 or 4 times, and then we go to triple. And the biggest thing is I can see that it will get you over your fear of speed. Like you're trying to push the envelope there. And then when you get to triple, it's not as bad. I know I tried it once before, but one of my buddies, he even towed on the alternates. And he said they just lit it up after and when they went to triple. But the biggest thing is yeah, the speed of movement with it that you get. I think that one is probably my favorite. When we're trying to go fast or we're trying to jump far, is four alternates. Otherwise, it's probably hop, hop, step, jump,
Uh-huh.
for rhythm.
Yeah.
And then as far as long jump goes, um, there's so many, but I would say as far as development and rhythm, posture, all that put together, we like to do continuous takeoffs over hurdles. So you take a hurdle, you just lay it down, lay it over to where both the bottom and the top both. So you got a triangle,
hmm
and we'll put it. We may start close and just work on the quick contacts, but really when we start opening it up, you're getting a land. You get 3 steps between. That's 7 meters apart. If you got younger ones, it'd be 6 meters apart maybe. But somewhere in that general area, and it's just working on all the basics, and then it has the hurdle there, so you've got to have a vertical takeoff. So
hmm
I like that one best for teaching, and I use that one the most when I was at, especially the mid majors. They got so much to learn. We would live on that. So we do all those type of drills, gallops, those.
Yeah.
We'll do those before we jump the 12 or 14 step jumps. We'll always warm up with those type things. As far as high jump goes, we do a lot of circle jump. So I'll do a circle in front of the pit. You've probably done it plenty of times, Sue. Um, and now if I could get them to jump like that all the time, but in the competition, that would be amazing. But we've had, I mean, almost tied their PR on 6 step approach on a circle. It's because they're staying away so well. They have the circle and I tell them to hold the lean, hold the line, run on the line.
hmm
So that keeps that lean. And my 222 guy, well, he went 221 on 6 step. It's like, why
Wow.
can't we do this? So that means he should be jumping, much higher, but we just can't get that same pressure at the last 3 steps. as we have on the circle jumps. So probably that the most, um, I would think. We don't do a ton of box jumps, especially on that circle. I don't like to do it with a circle, but if we're
Hmm.
doing short approach and we straighten it out, we'll do box jumps some, and it's probably 1 to 1 or 2 to 1 ratio. So say we'll do two practices without it, one with it, or two practices with it, one without it. So they never lose feel of a flat jump. You know, we just don't want to live on the box. I know some coaches like to live on the box. I think that's great for timing. You know,
Hmm.
so I would say that's rhythm jumps for high jump. We want to work on how long can we climb and be patient and get used to being in the air that long. Because again, the brain has a certain time that it thinks it's supposed to do this and that. I'm trying to break that habit. I'm trying to break that time. I seen my good friend Nick Peterson. He does that, you know, in the gymnastics center. He's trying
Oh,
to break. Yeah, he's trying to break timing. So I think that's a crucial part of it in any event. If you want to jump far, because if you want to jump far or high, you've got to be in the air. You can't
right,
rush it.
right.
So it's just getting them used to that. So there's a lot of drills that I got, a lot of different things, and it's just like it's like a doctor. They got plenty of medicine. Which one's going to work? You know, so you've got to prescribe the right one at the right time to elicit the change that you need, and that's where coaching comes in. Good coaching.
Now, the circle run that you do, so that's diagram or describe that a bit if you don't mind.
Yeah, we'll do so from the pit, I'll put my heel up against the pit and I'll walk it out. I've done 2 and 3 shoes. It just depends on, you know, what level you're talking about here.
Mhm.
Because of course, if it's a guy that's at a high level, he's probably needs to for sure be 3 shoes out with that. And then we'll just get chalk and draw a circle around. The radius on that is going to be, I've done it 16 foot, I've done it 18 foot. Again, it depends on the individual.
Sure.
So we're somewhere in that area, and then we'll do 6 steps. I mean, you can do 10, but it's you got to come up with a different circle probably.
Yeah, yeah. The
But I
shorter.
just haven't got into that to be honest with you.
Okay.
If I'm doing 10, I want to work on our approach, you know, or whatever our full is. I don't
Hmm.
want to waste that opportunity. I'm going to kick it out and go straight
Hmm.
and and
Yeah.
and have a chance to work on that full.
Let's see. I think Matt, you had your hand up a minute.
Yeah, he answered it. I'm good to go. Thanks.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that, excuse me, that want to make sure with the drills that we understand with that. Do you have a special concept or cue to keep the pressure on the curve in the high jump?
Yeah. I mean, so one thing that Jerry taught me is, like I said, put in the drill that's needed. So the people um, that don't do that well, we'll run circle runs every practice. That's for one.
Hmm.
Another thing we do, and there's things I like about it and things I don't, um, but it's an ends to it's a means to an end. Is the runarounds of their approach. So you're not popping up, you're running around.
Hmm.
The only thing I would say to that, those that's going to do that, I would say you need to move back and give them room away from the pit. It's just too much pressure, too dangerous, getting close to the pit, you know. But you know, we're doing stuff like that. So we're doing early on, we're doing um, this basic stuff. You know, we're doing sprint drills around the curve.
Yeah.
I'll have the whole approach or you chalked out, and
Hmm.
we'll do sprint drills. And we warm up for approach days. We do that every time, and we'll do the same sprint drills at nauseum. Flat foot contacts, posture, you know,
Right.
and then we go to the circle runs, and then we do the approaches, and then we do the approaches. I'm doing ratios. So early on, we just did approaches with no pit, and we just kind of ran underneath the bar,
Hmm.
you know, and we had a chalk line mapped out. Then I put the pit out. Yep. Then I put the pit out and let them run into the pit. I don't like that because they lose the shoulders. They just forget it. But once their ankles are built up and I've done enough circle runs, then I will have them run around. And then we're doing a ratio of 2 to 1. We'll start at 2 to 1. So 2 runarounds, one pop up. 2 runarounds, one pop up. And then we go late season. So like we just switched a week ago, I think, and to 1 to 1. So now they run around, then they pop up on the next one. So it's just getting a little, and then we do less sets of it. So we're getting, you know, less reps overall. But yeah, I just built their ankles up, but they're constantly on that curve. They're constantly feeling that pressure. Now, when
Yeah.
they go to jump, that's the hardest to transfer, but that's where you had the circle jumps day is doing that. So hopefully those two bleed together. Now, are people doing that? Well, if you watch Timmy Tope, the one that just jumped to 197, she is absolutely not doing that. So she has habits from high school that is, seems unbreakable. So we're trying.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, what her, if there was some little special drill or cue that seemed to work best with her. 'Cause,
Um,
yeah, the 197 right away, that was pretty, pretty amazing.
she's just getting stronger,
Mm.
more athletic, uh, but she's a double armor, so she likes to really push on that step before the penultimate, and then of course you're in the air. Well, if you're in the air, that means your shoulders are coming up.
Hmm.
So that's what she's doing big time. I don't know why, how to break her of it. I don't know why she's doing it. She won't do it as much in practice, but when she's really going for the jump, that's what she leans to. That's what she goes to,
Hmm.
and her shoulders are completely parallel the last two steps. She jumped. I mean, she jumped 193 from short approach in practice. So she should jump, and that's with a bar, competition style. We
Hmm.
had a little competition style, but I did it on the circle. So I mean, she should jump 197 every day. We're looking at 203.
Wow.
So I think that could happen. And I think she's going to get better as she goes more steps.
Hmm.
So shorter, she is strong, but she's so strong that she can handle the full, you know. So
Hmm.
she's a powerhouse. I mean, she overhead backed, gosh, what was it? 19 meters something.
Oh, wow.
It was unbelievable. She had amazing testing after and I got it here in my files. She had amazing testing after general prep.
Well, you mentioned about strength. What special things for your jumpers would you focus on with the strength, um, and how that ties in to your training?
Yeah, we all did, and I break it up by phase. So there's general prep, special development, and comp, and I'll change the lifts maybe based on that, or at least the range of motion based on that. So like Evelyn, that's one that you've seen she jumped 190. It's
Yeah.
literally just been shortening her range as we go. Every time that we squat, so it went from full to half, and we're probably going to move to a quarter this Friday, just based on who she is and what she needs. But Timmy Tope, she goes full squats the whole time to a box. Same thing as Tyra. So really, what I'm looking at is the person a speed. I'm very categorical. Is a person a speed jumper, an elastic jumper, or a power jumper? Right. So you've had to figure out what they are, and sometimes what you see is not true because they've just been trained a certain way. They could have been something else. But so that makes it tough. But I'm lifting based on that category, and I'm lifting based on needs. I'm lifting based because I write the training for the weights too. I wouldn't have it any other way, which is another reason for gray hair. But we will base it off if they're knee or hip dominant. That's another one, and also the coordination levels.
Hmm.
I feel like somebody that's uncoordinated, if you quarter squat them, they kind of lose. They like to have that range of motion so they can keep the coordination. Motion is lotion. It keeps them healthier, I think, sometimes. But yeah, if you're when you go full range, it gives you a bit more coordination than if you're partialing it. From what I've seen, So like Timmy Tope, she's going full to or 90 degree to a box. She'll keep that all year, and I'll just undulate the percentages or speeds, and I just change that. We're going up and waving it. So she actually did 90% squat 7 days before that
Wow.
197, which
So
is
you do all their weight training?
yeah, and that's what that like I said, that's the most individuality is in the weight training
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure. I mean, literally every high jumper we have is on something a little different. Every single one.
Well, that's good that you get to do that and not have to deal with, shall we say,
Yeah.
another another side person on that.
Yeah, I've fought for that everywhere I've went, and it's caused hell for I've raised some hell in a couple places, but I just think it's too important. I mean, until the strength coaches are put on my bonus structure and my job well-being, and then you're coming to practice every day, then I'm not letting you ride it. because you
Well,
have no idea
that's
what I'm seeing.
yeah.
Yeah, you have no idea what I'm seeing day to day. So I'm literally taking notes way too much.
Hmm.
I live too much on it, but they're looking bad. I'm like, well, okay, what did we do 7 days ago, 10 days ago, 14 days ago? In the practice, I just and then if we're struggling that day, I'm stressing. Like, how did I mess this up? Because it's usually got to be with on the weight room. On the track, most of these coaches, at least physically wise, most of these coaches are doing the same thing.
Hmm.
You know, similar things.
Similar,
It's a technical aspect of it. I think that one, you got to get a great athlete. Two, you've got to teach them technically what it is that they need and get them to apply that in the competition setting. And then the other thing is getting their nervous system, their musculature and their nervous system prepared for what you're trying to get done.
yeah.
That's really the whole name of the game. So to me, I need to be in control of all that because they're so important and intertwined. And if I mess something up in the weight room, it has fried my nervous system, and I can't get what I need on the track. It's just their
Yeah,
body can't
exactly.
do it because I just fried them. And I
Yeah,
just did a max squat when I wanted you to do, uh, 80%, say for
yeah,
instance.
yeah, exactly. David wants to know if you have any velocity-based training in the weight room.
We have it. We have elite form. It's not my favorite. Um, I like gym aware. There's other ones that I like better that I've used, and there's other ones that I haven't used. I'm sure that are better. But we live on the velocity based. I would at least want to get the data and tell me, how fast we're moving stuff or what wattage that we're moving stuff. So sometimes I'll squat. We're lifting for max power, and some people are going by percentages and speed. So I want you to lift as heavy as you can to zero point 0.5 meters per second. That'd be generally about 80%. Once I get below that, it starts frying my nervous system. So I don't really want to get into the weeds on that one if I'm doing any technique at all. But usually I don't do a lot of squatting over that after general prep, unless it's like a box squat, which gives you less time under tension, less frying. But David, yes, we cleans. We live on the so elite form. Ours is a little bit slower than gym aware from my experience. So I'll tell the girls lift as heavy as you can on the cleans at 1.65 meters per second. The guys, I'll tell them 1.8 meters per second, just based on these. I've usually are faster than that, but these elite forms are slow. So we do that for cleans, and then for squats, we'll look at power, speed, stuff like that. And then we also have Kaiser. So we implement those, especially with the higher level athletes that are great accelerators. We'll use the Kaiser machine. We don't have the squat racks. I wish we did, but yeah, well, I'll never get that here. Uh, they turn me down on that in about a split, quarter of a second. But we have the racks or the machine that helps. So I'm measuring power with that. Um, and then yeah, we just want the data on everything, really, is what I want to do. And even if I don't change the weights because of it, it just lets me know where we're at, like the readiness.
Hmm.
Like, so we should be cleaning heavier weight at a faster speed at this point in the season as we get to the late season. If I did things right, that's what we'll do. So it just tells me that what I'm doing on the track is true.
Well, Randy could help you with the Kaiser there, I think, right?
I think well, yeah, I've heard a lot of his talks about it on, some of the podcasts and different things like that, trying to learn more. But also somebody that worked for him, I'm good friends with now, Joseph Coyne. So
Okay.
Joseph has taught me a ton on that velocity based stuff over the years. So I've been knowing Joseph for, I don't know, 8 years, something like that.
Uh-huh. Great. Well, when you're recruiting young jumpers, what would you say is the biggest deficit that you see that you've got to overcome as a college coach?
Yeah, it depends on where they come from. Uh, in the U.S., there's just not much training in the technical events in high school. It's easier to coach sprints. So anybody that's athletic, they go to the sprints, or they're in football or basketball or something like that. So we
Yeah.
don't get a lot of those high level athletes, I don't think, as much, nowhere near as much. And like at Sam Houston, we had some freaks. A guy that jumped 812 for me when I was at Sam. That dude was just a stud. I didn't know what I was doing.
Wow.
That dude was just a stud. We don't get people like that, anymore. We have to develop them. or at least I haven't. Um, so yeah, we've had to develop them. So the biggest thing is they don't movement quality is terrible. Highly uncoordinated. They don't play enough, so they're highly uncoordinated.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say this. I thought about this today. Ruta is one of my triple jumpers. She's jumped 1447 in the triple. And physically, she's not that gifted. Technically, she's a monster. And I look back at her training over the years, when she's had a couple of injuries, Achilles tear recently, and now she's just come back from that. Literally 1 year to the week
Mhm.
after she had her surgery, she jumps 1375 from short approach. So she's coming along.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at high school. What made her different than everybody else that I'm coaching? Like her, you know, what made her better than all the other girls or guys that I'm coaching? She bounded only in high school. If she lifted it, it was light cleans. The coach might have had her do quarter squats, but we're talking 60K, is nothing.
Hmm.
She bounded for training. Her bounding was her strength training, essentially.
Hmm.
And who was the most, I mean, her RSIs were ungodly. She got off the ground so fast. So what I did is I said, I remember I asked her when she showed up, I said, do you want to be great immediately or do you want to slow play this thing? I was hoping she said slow play. And she said, I want to slow play and just gradually increase. I said, that's a plan. All right. So we slowly increased her strength as to not lose her elasticity. Now, some of us went down slowly but surely over the years, but it's been minuscule. But I'm telling you, she was so bouncy. But the biggest thing is her movement quality is superior to any, at least in jumping, is superior to anybody else's that I've coached. And I think here in America, football has infiltrated the weight room of track and field, and it has totally messed us up. And all these coaches want to do, they don't want to do the technique as much. They want to get them fast, they want to get them strong. But how about making them not rely, we're going to get into the weeds on some of this stuff.
It's
Well,
okay.
first of all, yeah, let's teach them what they're doing. Let's get them used to their body and moving. As good as weights training is, it is general. There's no way to make it as specific as what we're going to get doing on, what we're doing on the track. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? It's like bounding is directly correlated to how well we triple jump. Continuous takeoffs is directly correlated to long jump. You know, uh, any of those type of things are going to help and make you more athletic. And in the end, that's a big chunk of what we do is making you more athletic. Part of that is coordination. So if we're lifting, think about how slow that is.
Yeah.
And it's not anywhere near the movement that we're trying to get on the track. So the first thing you shouldn't do is do that. And they say, well, you've got to be strong enough to do that. I'm telling you, I have videos of Ruta her freshman year. She jumped 14, 15. And I'm telling you, she couldn't squat but 135 pounds. So I had a lot of meat on the bone to increase and get better. And as we've done that, she's gotten faster because she's applying force in the ground way harder and just as fast.
Hmm.
Especially acceleration. I think acceleration is the key to speed. You've got to go through that phase in order to get up to top speed. She couldn't accelerate. She was just stumbling. She was just falling the whole time because wasn't strong enough muscularly. Well, when we're bounding, though, it's not. Thank you, Jerome. When we're bounding, I keep going, and I love talking track because then it makes me think. Old school might have had it right.
Old school did have it right.
Bounding, bounding, bounding. That is the way to go. The more you lift, the less you can bound. You can't do both. You can't have both hard. If you're squatting and you can squat 60, 70% and bound like crazy. If you're lifting fast, you can bound like crazy. But if you're going for strength, you're not bounding. You can't do it. But my thing is when we're lifting in the weight room, it will stretch the springs, squatting and stuff like that. But you're training, to me, you're training the body to move using muscles. Okay. Because
Hmm.
it's not the muscles that's doing the ligaments and tendons that's doing the work in the weight room. Now they're getting stretched a little bit, especially if I go deeper.
Hmm.
But the muscles are the ones doing the work. So what I've seen, um, So what I've seen is the more weight room I train, the slower the contacts are because they're using muscle. Well, muscle is slower than the fascia.
Hmm.
So if I want to be fast, explosive, bouncy, that's bounding. So for all the youth coaches out there, that's one thing I thought about today, and I really wanted to say for the youth coaches out there, bounding is the way. Weight room can wait. There's a lot of meat left on the bone. If they go to college, they're going to get the weight room. But if you teach the fundamentals of contacting the ground, absorbing and contacting the ground, let's say that they don't know how to absorb and come back off the ground. They can't absorb that shock.
Yeah,
If you teach them
definitely.
to do that early, they're going to have a lot greater future ahead of them in college. That's what
Yeah,
I've seen.
that's really good because that is a little different philosophy than what we're getting. And like you said,
100%.
somebody that works in a high school, I have to deal with the football coach
Oh yeah,
continually, and it
they've
just,
infiltrated us
yeah,
for sure.
it's not a good scene. Bazemore, Mr. Football. What?
Um, Question. I think I got this from Jerome, and I know Coach Huntington is yelling at me about this too. When you use the boxes, can I possibly use this for my soccer kids, football kids, baseball kids, all the other sports? Because I made the mistake, not really, made the mistake of teaching my soon to be collegiate soccer and football guys how to triple jump, and they love it, and so they know how to jump, and so they go back to school and they yell at their strength coaches, "You guys are idiots! You don't know how to jump. Adrian taught me how to jump," which I'm not going to apologize for it, but again, spirit of Brooks Johnson. Oh well. So, but I mean, you guys understand what I'm saying, Coach Sue,
Oh
Jerome?
yeah. Yeah. No, you went muted yourself.
Oh, sorry. But do you think I could possibly use the jumps boxes, like for long jump or triple jump, to teach the other sports how to jump, or am I specializing too much?
I've done it and have had success with when I was more of a personal trainer, and dealing with athletes from different sports. Yeah, we use boxes, up and down, single leg, drop jumps, all that. It's all reactive, so
Mhm.
it all works.
The thing is to keep it quick, that rebound or the reactive, like Keith
Yeah.
was saying,
Yeah.
is not the slow motion.
And surprisingly, Adrian, like a lot of the athletes that have had training in baseball and other sports like that, a lot of them don't get plyometrics and bounds and many jumps and many bounds, things of that nature in their training. And so like Coach is saying, like a lot of them aren't outside anymore, jumping around, hopping fences, jumping off trees, right? And
Hmm.
so we have to mimic the things that we did in their training, right? There's a young man that I work with who is just committed to USC for baseball. He's like 6'3", 6'4", 215, and we got him down to a 6'5", 60 yard. And a lot of his coaches started calling like, "Well, what are you guys doing?" We're working on acceleration, we're working on plyometrics, bounding, stride frequency. His length is enough, so we don't really need to work on that, right? But the mini bounds and box jumps, those things we're doing often. I may not have boxes with me, so sometimes we're in stadiums and using benches and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. Because I taught my soon-to-be collegiate soccer girl how to triple jump, and I literally rolled the ball to her, and she kicked the dang thing so far, she ended up kicking a field goal. I'm like, oops, my bad.
Going to create a whole new dynamic there for you. Keith, how do you deal with recovery, or what are your recovery modalities or philosophy?
Yeah, we have access to some things. We've got um, underwater treadmill and pool on campus, a couple of underwater treadmills and a pool at the rec center. I like doing that. If we, say we come back from a high level competition, we got three in a row. We've got conference, regionals, nationals. Usually on that Sunday, or not Sunday, but Monday, it would normally we would do extensive tempo on that day. So any regular season meet, that's pretty much what we do. We come back, we get on the grass, we warm up, and we got a turf field here, so we'll do extensive tempo on that turf field. If somebody's really shot, they may just get on the bike. If they really, really shot, so say that 197 girl, I remember the first time she jumped 197, we went straight to the pool after that on Monday, because she was just so excited and it just shocked her. So it's all about recovery, after that because they've done something at a high level. We'll go get in the pool, but that's the biggest thing. Off days, I try to keep them off their feet. I want to get in the pool. Um, it's not always accessible, but we try to do that. I love the pool. But we have Normatec boots, massage therapist. The good thing about university is they cover those type of things. Do we want it more? Of course, but I coach 7 pros. Not all are here. There's a couple that's not. Um, but there are 5 that are here, and most are graduates. Isaac Grimes is not,
Mhm.
but they still treat them good. They still give them, all the treatment, needling, cupping, all that type of stuff. But another thing is everybody that comes in, do a blood test. We do a couple blood tests a year, and I think that's important. The athletes are not eating the way they should, and I see that terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm on this big kick of eating. Me and Suze has been talking about it.
Mhm.
I have pretty much essentially cut sugar out of my diet, and it's hard to do, but you feel so much better. So I'm thinking about that with the athletes. What could we do? What could we do in training if we just quit eating Sour Patch Kids every day? Basic stuff. They're not. We're talking about recovery. I can't even get these kids to. I tell them about a sleep schedule. Basic stuff. We can't even get that. The pros, I can train them a lot harder because they are doing these things. And some of them are with USATF and they're getting all these different things given to them. And I see the cat behind you.
I know, I was gonna say my cat has decided it's dinner time.
Yep.
Just figure.
Uh, but yeah, just the basic stuff the kids don't do nowadays. And so I'll do as much as I can in training, but I can't save them from their self.
Right.
And if it gets far enough, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna tear into them. But the biggest thing is those that want to do it, they're gonna do it. They're gonna find a way. And those that don't, I don't lose sleep over them. You know,
I think
there's
that's
only so
pretty
much we
much
can
the
do.
hard thing is, you can't want it more than the kid uh,
Yes,
for
and
them. So
and that's why the pros sometimes are a little bit more fun because we're dealing with 18 to 22 year olds, and that's a crazy thing to sign up for.
yeah, even though you signed up for it, right?
Yeah, I didn't know what I was getting into at all. But yeah, I tell my wife all the time that's the craziest decision I made. But I love it. It's been fun. But yeah, recovery is the key. I think somebody's told me work plus rest equals adaptation. So if
Mhm.
we don't, but it's kind of penciled in. I've learned that recovery weeks need to be recovery weeks. I don't test everything, those weeks.
Mhm.
Training is the testing, and then I let the rest happen during the rest weeks. It only makes sense, and then, we have Thanksgiving, we
Yeah.
have Christmas, and I can't get them to do anything over that. So those rest weeks are built in, and I'm almost certain that's why we come out and we do well at the first 2 meets is because we got that rest, during
Ah,
the Christmas
good
break.
point. Yeah.
Yeah. So after that, you'll see in our results, at least mine, we'll go in a lull usually at the very end of January, which Timmy Tope did not, but normally we do.
Uh-huh.
And then early February we'll be in a lull, and then once I back off again, we'll start taking off.
Mhm.
But the biggest thing I see is, yeah, you got to start that rest in advance. You can't get to the week of the competition and say, okay, now we're gonna not do much this week. It's too late.
Time for rest.
Usually, what you do the week before, the 10 days leading up, and what you do in the training and on the track and the weight room, 21 days before, that's what they're feeling at the time they show up. So what you're doing the week of the meet, it's too late.
Mhm.
You got to start bleeding that rest in, get more, recovery. We'll do cryo, we'll do things like that. Once we go on these trips, those things help. But if you train them right, that's the best way to do it.
So you start to deload or whatever 21 days before, let's say, what would you say, the nationals or regional or what?
I'll do it the week before conference, and it might be a little bit late. They're not quite there, but it's conference, and we're a national team.
Right,
I have to have them ready for nationals.
right.
Kitley wants them ready for nationals, my boss. So I got to make sure they're ready there. If they
Yeah.
don't do well there, it's usually because I didn't prepare them mentally for it. It's usually not a physical thing. It's usually
Oh,
mental
okay.
for me, because I know when to back off.
Uh-huh.
Especially as I learn them, learn who they are and what they need. But really, the training doesn't change a ton for me. It's just the density gets lower, of course.
Right, right.
So we're doing less in a day, and maybe we were training after a meet, say for instance, Monday is a shakeout or extensive tempo or pull, whatever. Say Tuesday is speed and weights. Wednesday is usually a shakeout for me. And then Thursday, Friday, we may work, do work, so maybe jumps one day, maybe speed endurance and excels another day, just for instance. I may end up combining those. Speed endurance is going to drop off, so we're going to do accelerations and jumps on one of those days, and then the other day just become strides. So I'm still getting what I want in. I'm getting less nervous system taxing days, and so I may do. We may have been doing more speed. It may be the 7 days before we may do two speed reps and then go jump.
Hmm.
It may be that short.
Now you mentioned extensive tempo. Can you explain that a little more?
Yeah, extensive for me. We're just doing with general prep. We're doing it for sure a lot. Not crazy. I still don't go crazy volumes. I usually do 1,200, 1,500 meters in a session. Um, but once yeah, I try to train them like sprinters. Uh, just
Hmm.
make them generally fitter, generally more athletic in general prep. And I say general. So
Hmm.
we have stuff that, any athlete should do. General strength series, which we keep a lot of those all year, but
Hmm.
bounding for everybody. I mean, just basic general athletic development movements. But once we get in season, I never leave extensive tempo. It's always in somewhere. But once we get in season, we're in season, we're mixing in special endurance and we're doing extensive. Well, then once we get late season, I cut the special endurance, we go straight extensive. And then that is more of a metabolic effect, flush out type thing for me. You're not getting in shape at that point. You're just touching. Really, what I'm going to do is get the heart rate up just a bit. So it could
Hmm.
be 8 100s, it could be 4 150s, it could be 5 150s earlier on, it could be 120s, But the key is the intensity is usually 60 to 70% generally. I just make sure that they don't get too hot on those.
Hmm.
There's days that go fast, there's days that go slow. I want to make sure those are slow. But the biggest thing is the rest. If the rest is correct, I'm going to get the metabolic effect. Getting that heart rate up is what's going to make them feel better for the next day, right?
Hmm.
So we'll use that as active recovery, essentially. So say we come back from a meet, we're doing a big warm up. My warm ups are have a lot of general strength in them. So we don't do it after the practice. No, I tricked them. I already did it. We already did it. We did. I did 10 squats. Go stride 50. You're just doing that. Herd mobility, rudiment. We'll do a little bit of rudiment, just touch, just to get a little bit of feel. It's just hard to explain, but
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
don't do those little things like that, they're not ready to go the next day. Sometimes I've even done med ball throws and they'll be more ready to go the next day.
Hmm.
But the tempo, just say yesterday we did, or sorry, Monday we did 4 150s, walk 100. So essentially you're getting about 2.5 minute rest.
Yeah.
So not much. Like I said, we're cutting it down. We've done as many as 6 times 200, 8 times 200 in the fall, 2 times, 3 times 150. Those that sprint, if they get the chance to get on the relay or something like that, they'll go more. But generally, that's it. So we're just doing that more as recovery, metabolic type recovery to reset kind of the nervous system or try to flush it out for the next day so we can get back on it.
What's the max interval that you would have a jumper do in a session?
Like a special endurance or something like that.
Yeah, is it 300, 200? Do you have any guidelines on that, or it just depends on what you want
Yeah.
that day?
Yeah. I'm more looking at movement quality
Okay.
more than anything. So if
Hmm.
somebody moves well, you can run them a little bit further. Now, we're collegiate. We're still developing. We're not pro
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to run 300s with a pro or
Hmm.
250s with a pro. I don't really get into that. Oh, yeah, we may touch 250 on an extensive, but once we get up to special endurance, we're focused on usually 120 to 150. Maybe I'll hit 180.
Hmm.
But then I have the sprinter base type guys. I got a couple long jumpers that are really fast. I think they at least run one of them would run at least I think 670 if you knew how to do blocks.
Oh, okay.
He's really fast. I think he ran on a 3.30 through the sensors. He ran 3.79. So he's pretty
Nice.
fast.
Nice.
Just don't know how to do blocks, and he's always banged up, so we don't touch it. So we'll run as far as 300. If we're running 80 to 90%, we'll run as far as 300. If we're
Hmm.
running faster, I'll drop it down. If we're running speed endurance, we'll drop it down and go probably the 150, the 180, something
Hmm.
like that. Yeah.
Let's switch a little bit back as to coach's life. What's a
Mhm.
general typical day for you these days?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same every day. With kids, I keep you on a routine. I'll tell you that. So first of all, I've got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Right.
So life is nuts. Uh, and my wife is a saint for putting up with my job. So let me just say that first. Um, so the kids usually come in at 7:30, so we hit the ground running. They got to get out the door at 8:20 to get to daycare. So as soon as they get out, I'm rushing to get to the office. I'm excited to get to the office every morning. So as soon as they hit the door, I'm rushing to get there because it's so much fun. Generally, practice. We have office duties. That's
Hmm.
the sucky part that we signed up for that we didn't know we were getting. But I'll do that until 11 o'clock, and we usually start practice at 11. And I like to split it up unless we can be together, like a tempo day or something. Uh, we'll do high jump group at 11. I'll have women's jumps at 12:30, and I'll have men's jumps at 2, and we have weights at. Uh, I've had that question today, VJ, already. Two of those already. So yeah, we'll do weights at 4, and then I'm out at 5. I tell them whatever's happening, I got to be out at 5. I go pick the kids up at daycare. So I'm with the kids from 5 till 8 or so, 8:30, and then it's back to recruiting if I got the energy left.
Right, right. So the recruiting is a nightly or evening adventure for you, huh?
Usually, I mean, like tomorrow, like we work today, so we're gonna just do shakeout tomorrow. So then
Uh-huh.
I'll use that day to catch up on recruiting. The good thing is most of the way we do it here at Texas Tech, we're pretty even. We try to do all the events, but most of the scholarships is in the sprints,
Hmm.
and they've got 3 coaches, so uh, so I'll let them have it. It's fine. Where I'm at in this phase in my life, you know, I don't care how we win. If I have one guy at the national meet, all right, as long as he contributed. I don't
Yeah.
care how we win as long as we win. So I will give up. I told Kitley, just take the scholarships, put it in the event that's the weakest and where we can score the most points. I don't have to be that guy. Do I think I can? Of course, but that doesn't matter to me. So my group could be a lot bigger, but right now it's 14 people, which is the least I've had in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm thankful for that, and I'm thankful to Kitley for that. And yeah, I don't have to spend all that time recruiting because of that. I sign 2 to 4 a year. I'm
Uh-huh.
golden. I'm good there. So I don't, I recruit, but it's more of like searching for, through scouring through results and stuff like that. And the, uh, but I don't like the night part. By the end of the night, 9 o'clock, I'm already dead. I'm
Right,
tired.
right. Yeah, because you've uncovered a few diamonds in the rough, definitely.
Yeah, that's the fun stuff. I mean, of course, we got to get, Tech is a national level team. They've won nationals. What we win? This will be 2 years ago this
Yeah,
March. We've got to get some studs. I mean, that's just the name of the game in the
sure.
NCAA now.
Right.
But man, it's fun developing people.
I wish more people thought that. VJ, you've got a question.
I might just have to get the notes from someone else. I got on here 45 minutes late from our team meeting. Is every
No
every week I'm
problem.
Oh,
like 30
dang.
minutes late. I was just asking about like alternative workouts. So like when things don't go to plan, or a kid has 4 hours of sleep and you send them
Hmm.
home, like how often you have them like jump on like I've seen schedules where people do like maybe 3 days of specific jump days in a span of 2 weeks. They go like 2-1, 2-1, or some places they just go one a week with like speed type jumpers. Or you mentioned individualized training in the weight room. So for those speed type jumpers versus the more power type jumpers, how do you kind of set up their bounding or their jump specific days?
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. There's a lot there. Well, first of all, I'm trying to jump as much as I can and not beat them up. So the days that we jump far, well, we got to be ready for that one. They have to be nervous system fairly fresh in order to do, you know, to jump as well as they want to jump, to move as well as they want to move, but make the changes in the jump that we're trying to do. But that say I do that once a week. Well, once a week to me is not enough to jump. But we can't go that hard again. You know what I'm saying? You can't do two hard ones. Um, so we're just trying to sneak it in wherever we can. So like today, like we did acceleration, we touched speed yesterday, coming back from a meet, we touched on it. And then we did power weights. So we didn't lift for maxes or anything. It was just, step up tight, clean, step up, that type of thing. So I knew today they would be good. So I knew I had special endurance put in the workout today. So I was like, okay, we should be good. They're going to be a little bit tired, but all I do is two-step rhythm bounds or straight leg bound to jump for the long jumpers. And then I did some like 4 to 6 step jump off a ramp into the high jump pit. Very low level stuff. But I'm trying to add in as many little jumps as I can because some of these people just don't know how to jump. I've got a guy that jumps 8 meters. He does not know how to jump. He is still learning. So I'm trying to sneak in every little thing that I can. And of course, days that I'm fresh, I can go after it. We can jump far, 12, 14 steps. Or for triple, 8, 10, 12 if they're really, really good. I'm not going to get many of those in. So I got to sneak in those other days. And I got drills that I like little, very short approach, low speed drills. And I'm going to put those in for those people just to add reps to their body. More reps long term is going to be give them the change that they need over time. So we're doing that. As far as the weight room, I feel like that's where uh, I think a lot of coaches need to get in the weight room and figure stuff out. Now I've been doing this 16 years of writing training in the weight room, and it is like opening a can of worms. But you need to know what you're doing in the weight room and how it affects the track, because I think that's where the magic happens. You see these people like, wow, they just come out of nowhere and they jump crazy good. They found the sweet spot. They found, they changed something in the weight room. And I will, even if it's my competitor, which I hate to do that, but I gotta know, what did you do? What did you do with that one person? I may never use it ever, but I need to know, so I can add it to my memory bank of options or, because I'm looking at that athlete and saying, okay, it's Will Clay. So I can call Jeremy Fisher, but Will Clay is an elastic jumper. To me, he's an elastic based jumper. So Jeremy, what did you do in the weight room to elicit that response? That is crazy. Him, lighting it up at Long Beach when he jumped 18 meters in '09, I think, 1809, something like that. Hey man, what'd you do leading up to this? So we got to know. And the biggest things that I see. So after doing that with coaches for years and years and years, asking them, hey, thank you, Jerome. And I was there live, seeing that 1814. And after asking coaches and hounding them about information, I can kind of put together based on what I see with the athlete, power, speed, elastic. Here's the things that I see. Elastic people have to have the rubber band stretched constantly. So they don't like box squats. They don't like just purely concentric lifts. They don't like, they have to have the eccentric component to it. Now, you can't overwork it, but you got to have it. They have to have, that gives them their feel for the ground. And that's lack of better words, but that gives them their feel for the ground. So like Ruta, all right, she does quarter squats. So I had her doing like real quick quarters one week. She looked terrible. I had her doing box squats before. This is some years ago, 4 years ago. She looked terrible. But as soon as you put her regular squats, half squats, quarter squats, anything like that, primarily quarter, it stretches the springs a little bit, stretches the fascia, and that's what gives her response of rebounding. That's just what I see. Uh, Power-based people, they hate eccentric. So they're the opposite of those that I just named. You got power-based people like, all right, Sue can tell you, Susan, the girl that I coach, she's more of a power type jumper.
Right.
So, she does not do anything eccentric. She does not like bounding. Her shins sure don't like it, but she just doesn't respond to it. So everything has to be push, push, push for her. She likes box squats. And she even sits down all the way on the box at 90-degree depth is what she does.
Mhm.
And that gives her her response. I did that with her. I'll do front squats. She's hip dominant. So that's the movements that and so you seen her take off last year. She jumped a lot further.
Yeah.
I think it was really just giving her the weights that she needed, and that made her feel good. And then she trained better. She moved better. She was more coordinated because I implemented exactly what her system needed to feed or to feed the system what it needed to get those things. So it was front squats and bot squats. That's exactly what we did. So the power people I see loves bot squats because it eliminates the eccentric, almost eliminates the eccentric, at least takes away a lot of it. And then you got the speed based people. They need to learn how to put force in the ground. That's what I see.
Yeah.
So however you feel that you do that, there's a whole lot of lifts that can work for them. Um, but they already have the wiring. They just don't have the transmission, so to speak. So, or the
Couldn't be.
motor to apply that to the ground, whatever it may be. But the nervous system is there. So you just teach them how to apply the force correctly and then unload them. And I think you can load them. Some people do quarters heavy. Either way you go, you've got to build them up in strength in the fall, and then you've got to maintain it in the spring, but you can't overload it or their speed will be gone.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
those are tough, can be. If you get it right and they're fast, they're going to jump far for you. So
And
is
that's
there a lot of
yeah,
nuances and variations in all the ones I said? Oh yeah. And there's a lot of ways to roam.
exactly. It,
So what I say could be totally wrong for another person. You know, I'd say, oh, we got to figure it out. So all right, so Tyra is more of a, you can see she's more of a power.
mhm.
Now she's crazy fast. The best athletes have all capabilities, but I just figured that she was a power jumper. Well, standing long, I put in the bot squats for her. We general prep, we do regular squats, and then we do bot squats after that, and I undulate. And I'm telling a lot of secret sauce here, but that's just what works for Tyra. It may work not work for your athletes, but she went to bot squats. Her standing jumps went to like 3 meters 12 for standing long. Her triple went to 9 meters 20, maybe 9 meters 10, something like that. And that lets me know, hey, we're doing the right thing. She's a pusher, so those numbers should go up. She's a concentric athlete. Power, those numbers should go up if I do the right things in the weight room. And sure enough, as soon as we put those in, that's the numbers that she started
Be
going up
great.
to.
Yeah.
So that means, and her speed is good because we're not overworking the eccentric.
Hmm.
You see, because we're doing a box.
Now, is she pretty much given up the hep? Is that what she told me? Or, I mean, is
No, she was
she's not?
all along last year. She was all along last year. So she made it to Worlds indoor and
Uh-huh.
outdoor. What we've got to do with her is get her mentally better to compete at the big level. That's
Hmm.
her next step, really.
Hmm.
But Trinidad called her this fall and said they want her back in the multi. So we are
Oh,
training for the multi. Now,
good.
we may make an appearance in high jump soon,
Good.
but I mean, she's clearing 190 in practice.
Oh
So
yeah. No,
she's
she
good.
always wanted to high jump again, is what she told me. Because I worked with her a little one of the summers, and she said Puma told her she had to long jump only, that her contract, and
Yeah.
so she wasn't able to do the multis. But I'm glad she's now kind of venturing back into it. So it
Tyra's like me.
yeah.
Tyra's like me. Our minds are all over the place. So multi is best for us.
Yeah, exactly. Keith, thank you so much. We really got a conglomeration of stuff here, a lot of ideas, and that's fantastic because that's what we wanted is to learn jumps the Texas Tech way and to see what all you're doing and the magic that's there. So keep up that good work. It's enjoyable to watch you. And next week, we're going to take a little bit of a switch and we're going to the throws with Olympic champion Mac Wilkins. So next week will be all the throws from an Olympic champion. And Keith has put in his email there in the chat if you want to reach out. And it's a little tricky because it's M. Herston, so it took me a little bit time to find him on that one. So
Yeah, MK on Gmail is,
great,
yeah.
great.
And
Well,
then
thank you.
Instagram, I respond best to Instagram. That's because I'm on there
Okay,
recruiting and everything. So
excellent,
anytime.
excellent. Well, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, sir. Thanks for having me.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Sue.
Thank you. I'm trying to.
Thanks, Coach.